Indiana Fever have
indeed hit some hardship early in the WNBA season.
They just signed
Aari McDonald
to an emergency
hardship contract.
Just 2 minutes ago, the Indiana Fever made a move that left fans stunned.
Aari McDonald and Caitlin Clark has fans up in arms.
Signing Aari McDonald, a player best known for aggressively guarding Caitlin Clark before even finishing her own free throw.
Caitlin Clark going down was the number one cause, which opened up the Fever for an emergency hardship exception. It's not as if this was the number one pick in the draft. This is not as if this was their big free agency signing.
And now whispers are growing louder that Clark herself isn't on board with this decision. No public support, no warm welcome, just silence. Is this Caitlin's way of rejecting the move? You be the judge.
This is going to be a very, very short signing. She might be here for a few days, y'all.
Welcome, Aari. She doesn't have to guard Caitlin between the free throws anymore.
But one thing's clear. The chemistry shift is real. Before we dive deeper, drop a comment if you stand with Caitlin 100%. Let the Fever know whose side the fans are really on.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP.
She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
Caitlin Clark is a superstar globally.
The Indiana Fever made an emergency move, signing Aari McDonald to a hardship contract.
Aari McDonald signed as part of the emergency hardship exception.
On the surface, it seems like a routine replacement to fill in for injuries.
Indiana Fever, who are just battered with injuries at this point, have made their emergency signing, and they have decided to go with the southpaw point guard, Aari McDonald.
But this wasn't just any signing. This was a move that immediately raised eyebrows because of who they signed and how it might affect team dynamics, especially with Caitlin Clark out due to injury. McDonald isn't a terrible player. She averaged 8.7 points and 3.7 assists per game last season with the LA Sparks and was once a top 3 WNBA draft pick.
She was with the LA Sparks in 2024, 8.7 points a game. She's a 48% field goal percentage shooter from 2-point range and essentially 32% from 3.
But the context here is everything. She's 5 feet 6 inches, more of a scoring guard than a true playmaker, and lacks the floor vision and poise Caitlin brings to the point guard spot. She's not a long-term fit. By most accounts, she'll be out the second Clark or Sydney Colson returns.
This is going to be a very, very short signing. She might be here for a few days, y'all. She might be here for a few days. I think that, so the second that Sydney Colson or Caitlin Clark returns, she's gone.
What's more, McDonald was waived just weeks ago by the Sparks. If she was truly that impactful, why didn't another team pick her up sooner? And why bring in someone who doesn't fit the system built around Caitlin Clark? Fans quickly voiced their confusion. If you're trying to build a team around your superstar rookie, why sign someone known for friction and zero chemistry with that player?
The Fever has signed Aari McDonald to an emergency hardship contract.
As soon as Colson, or as soon as Caitlin's back, she's gone.
Some pointed out that Grace Berger or even Celeste Taylor would have made more sense. Players with system familiarity or upside. Instead, they went with McDonald, who, despite being temporarily needed, could create unnecessary distractions.
Oh man, I was very anxious. Like, it felt weird, sitting at home, just watching the games this time of the year. But when I got the call, I was very excited, very blessed, and it was a humble experience to join a team like the Fever. And I'm just excited and I'm ready to compete and just win. I was a slight bit anxious, but again, it was my first day. I wasn't trying to overthink because that's when turnovers happen or you just mess up. But just constantly playing, just not thinking too much and just calling what I'm comfortable with. But the girls did a great job of just, cheering me on and being very, accepting and welcoming.
This wasn't just a basketball decision. It was a tone-deaf one. The optics are bad. You bring in a player who made national headlines for how she treated Caitlin Clark on the court. That's not just a roster move, that's a message. And it's one Clark fans aren't happy about.
A lot of fans is kind of not happy with this.
Maybe she will guard Caitlin before the free throw line this time. Welcome, Aari. She doesn't have to guard Caitlin between the free throws anymore.
To fully understand why Aari McDonald's signing is so controversial, you have to go back to that moment. The infamous free throw sequence that went viral and painted a clear picture of the tension between her and Caitlin Clark. It happened last season, but it's resurfacing now for a reason. And no matter how much some try to brush it off, the clip speaks volumes. Here's what went down. McDonald was at the free throw line with 2 shots. She made the first, and then, instead of staying at the line to take the second, she sprinted away to face guard Caitlin Clark before the second shot.
She was the one who infamously shot the free throw and then still went to guard Caitlin Clark right after when she had another free throw to shoot.
Some people are like, oh man, you hired this person. She was going at Caitlin Clark, and we know who Caitlin Clark is. We know how special she is. It didn't like she said anything. She was just bouncing, She got a little beat to her. All right, I made my free throw. Let me go ahead and...
That's not hustle. That's not game awareness. That's obsession. She was so locked in on Clark that she literally forgot how many free throws she had left. The clip exploded online. Commentators couldn't believe it. Fans joked about how Caitlin had these girls losing their minds. And honestly, it wasn't just a joke. It was a warning. It showed how rattled Clark made her opponents, how their focus shifted from the actual game plan to just stopping her. And Aari McDonald was Exhibit A. Some tried to defend the move, saying it was just intensity or locked-in defense. But let's be honest, that kind of move doesn't show professionalism. It shows poor judgment. Even Clark herself addressed it calmly in post-game interviews, saying McDonald probably forgot she had another free throw. But behind that composed response was something deeper. Respect, maybe, but also awareness that she was being targeted, even in moments where it made no sense.
In between the 2 free throws?
I think she was just trying to pick me up. I don't think she had realized that she got another free throw because it was the technical free throw. I saw that though, yeah.
Okay, so she didn't say anything?
No.
And now that same player is being brought into Clark's locker room?
Aari is also a good fit for the locker room.
How does that even make sense? The Fever are supposed to be building around Caitlin. She's the franchise. She's the reason for record ratings, jersey sales, and packed arenas.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. I'm so happy. I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from 3. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from 3-point range.
And yet the front office brings in someone who became infamous for trying to aggressively face guard her when the ball wasn't even in play. This isn't just about a funny clip or one play. It's about what it symbolizes. Caitlin Clark is under enough pressure already, targeted on the court, dragged in the media, hit harder than any rookie should be, and constantly tested as a leader. And now she has to come back from injury and share the floor with a player whose most memorable moment in the league is abandoning a free throw just to try and lock her up. Fans aren't buying it. The clip has already resurfaced across social media with thousands of comments, most of them asking the same thing. Why would Indiana sign someone like this?
For right now, the Indiana Fever are in dire straits. And I think that just realizing the importance of playmaking and the lack of playmaking that was felt in Caitlin Clark's absence.
If you're trying to support your star, you don't bring in someone whose only headline moment was trying to disrupt her. Period. And here's the kicker. That moment, intentionally or not, became symbolic. Aari McDonald didn't just try to guard Caitlin Clark. She disrespected the process of the game to go after her.
Caitlin even had to say about the situation, she didn't feel like it was something disrespectful or anything like that. She was just saying, she was just picking me up. Check this out.
In between the 2 free throws?
I think she was just trying to pick me up. I don't think she had realized that she got another free throw because it was the technical free throw. I saw that though, yeah.
Okay, so she didn't say anything?
No.
Some people that feel like me, and then you also have some people saying, nah, she was disrespecting her.
That might seem small to some, but to Clark fans and basketball purists, it matters.
She's little, but she's got skills. That's a fact. She's small, but she can definitely play the game. She can definitely play the game.
It's not just about who can hoop. It's about who can play with the team, with structure, and with the franchise's future in mind. So no, this isn't just an overreaction to a viral clip. It's a red flag. And Caitlin Clark's continued silence on the signing? That might be her way of saying what she can't publicly admit, that some signings just don't sit right. Sometimes the loudest statement is the one never made. That's exactly what we're seeing now from Caitlin Clark. Since the announcement of Aari McDonald's signing, Clark, known for her competitive fire, vocal leadership, and poise under pressure, has remained publicly silent.
It is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger.
It is undeniable that Caitlin Clark is the engine.
Caitlin Clark effect. There has been so much of an influx in attendance, in jersey sales, and viewership, all the things.
That's about star power, narrative, and likability.
Caitlin Clark comes into the WNBA, goes through college. She has panache. She has style.
No welcome post, no team boosting message, not even a single word of acknowledgement, and make no mistake, that absence is deafening. Caitlin Clark isn't just any rookie, she's a generational talent, the face of the Indiana Fever, and arguably the future of the WNBA.
You don't know what's gonna happen around here in this WNBA season, man. You have no idea.
Every move made by this franchise should be with her in mind. Every signing, every strategy, every rotation, it all needs to flow through her. That's how you build a winning culture around a star. And yet in her absence due to injury, the team signed a player whose most viral moment is trying to lock her up in one of the most awkward, bizarre sequences ever caught on camera. And now there's a noticeable chill. It's not just that Clark didn't speak up about Aari's signing. It's that she always speaks. She congratulates teammates. She's posted about victories, new roles, and rising players. Even when she's sidelined, she's active in boosting team morale. But with McDonald, radio silence. That's not coincidence. That's Caitlin Clark choosing to say, I see the move, but don't expect me to celebrate it.
WNBA without Caitlin Clark remains an attraction that not many people want to watch. Without Caitlin Clark,
is going to massively affect the WNBA.
And honestly, why should she? In what world does a franchise go out of its way to bring in a short-term temp who's already known for disrespectful or questionable behavior involving your cornerstone player? You don't do that if you're serious about building around Clark. You don't do that if you're prioritizing chemistry, and you definitely don't do that if you care about optics. Let's be real. Clark has already taken more hits than any #1 pick in recent memory. On the court, she's been body-checked, hard fouled, and constantly challenged by players clearly trying to send a message. Off the court, she's been criticized for everything from her popularity to her skin color. She's been forced into the middle of debates that have nothing to do with basketball, shouldering the pressure of league-wide expectations before she even had 10 games under her belt. Now, instead of easing her return by surrounding her with supportive teammates and system fits, the fever drop in someone who might be gunning for the same minutes, the same role, and carries baggage from a viral moment that still lingers in fans' minds.
We're down in numbers, but we're looking at adding another player for a replacement player to help us with our numbers and try to get people healthy and try to get a full roster back together. I mean, games are still coming, so it's going to be an adjustment, but we have a good group. We have good depth, thankfully, so that should help us.
Are you hoping to have that player before Tuesday's game?
We're hoping, yeah.
Have you ever been through any circumstance this early into the season and stuff where you're battling 3-4 down? Like, how unique is it?
I don't remember. I don't, probably, but I mean, because, the WNBA, the roster sizes are so much smaller. So when you get down to the 11-player roster and you lose 3 players like that, now you've got to add a quick player to your roster. So, it's something that you just deal with being in this league with the roster sizes being a little bit smaller, and that's why you try to build for depth.
Is this maybe another perfect example of where the WNBA could get to where they had like the NBA has 2 ways, but maybe home player development roles and they could be available in times like this? Would that be ideal?
I mean, just more bodies would be good. Yeah.
That's not strategy, that's recklessness. And the tension is visible. Fans have picked up on it. Social media is filled with comments like, "Why hasn't Caitlin welcomed her?" And "This doesn't feel like team unity." Analysts are cautiously noting that this might be a sign of internal disconnect. And Fever fans, especially those who follow Clark religiously, are reading the room clearly. Caitlin Clark didn't approve of this, and she's not hiding her disinterest. Behind the scenes, this could reflect a brewing power struggle between a front office that's treating this like just another roster move and a superstar in the making who expects more than mediocrity and short-term thinking. When Clark speaks next, it may not be in words, it may be in how she plays, who she passes to, or how she leads on the court. And don't be surprised if her body language tells us exactly what she feels about this experiment. There's another layer to this: accountability. If Clark had pulled a stunt like forgetting her own free throw just to go face guard another player,
Caitlin Clark is not out there. Caitlin Clark was the point guard that got points and facilitated the floor.
the media would have ripped her apart. But when Aari did it, some tried to spin it as competitive spirit. That double standard hasn't gone unnoticed. Clark's silence could also be her way of calling out that inconsistency.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball. Period.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. Just so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know, us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
Without feeding the fire publicly, she's smart enough to know when speaking up would only create more controversy. But just because she's quiet doesn't mean she's okay with it. In fact, her silence is the most powerful form of rejection. It's her way of saying, I see what's going on, and I don't need to clap for it. At the end of the day, the Fever should have known better. When your team revolves around a star like Caitlin Clark, every move has to support her growth, her trust, and her vision for the franchise. Bringing in someone with past tension and no long-term upside, that's not how you show your star player that you've got her back. The fans see it, Caitlin sees it, and the silence speaks for itself.
It is undeniable that Caitlin Clark is the engine.
Caitlin Clark effect. There has been so much of an influx in attendance, in jersey sales, and viewership, all the things.
That's about star power, narrative, and likability.
Caitlin Clark comes into the WNBA, goes through college. She has panache. She has style.
Caitlin Clark's injury is going to massively affect the WNBA. It's going to massively affect the league.
The Indiana Fever had one job: protect the culture, protect the chemistry, and above all, protect Caitlin Clark. But instead, they brought in a player remembered more for disrupting Clark than contributing to team success. Caitlin's silence isn't just silence, it's a signal.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
She's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
A quiet rejection, a reminder that not every player deserves a spot beside her. This isn't about drama. It's about direction. If the Fever want to build a dynasty, it starts with respecting their franchise player. Let us know where you stand. Drop a comment if you support Caitlin 100%. And if this signing doesn't sit right with you, you're not alone. We see it, she sees it, and we're not staying quiet.